Welcome to another episode of Chappy Hour. I'm your host, Chloë Chapdelaine, and today we have on the OG, Ananya.
Hello.
You guys, when I first started this podcast, Ananya was my number one. She was my test dummy. Okay, if you listen to the first episode, I listened back and I'm like, whoa, my audio was wild. It was like going up and down in the levels. Hopefully, since our first days, we've improved quite a bit.
100%.
Yeah, because you guys should see my setup now. It's way different. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, we were using like a shoebox to hold up your camera.
We were using a shoebox, and it was so uncomfortable. We were on these plastic little chairs, and we had this table between us.
Yeah.
And now we're on a couch sitting here together.
Yeah.
Look at the improvement. This is awesome. Okay, so anyways, we've got Ananya on, and Ananya and I are drinking a Moscow Mule.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Moscow Mule that is homemade. Literally, I made the soda myself with my soda stream. The syrup, I didn't make it, but my parents did, and they left it at my house. It is a syrup that's got peppercorns, I think agave syrup, ginger, and then you boil it together and you make your Moscow Mule syrup. Really good. And then we added some lime juice and...
Oh, yeah, that made it.
Yeah, and we've got it in the classic Moscow Mule cups. So if you have a drink wherever you are, raise your glass and cheers! Welcome to Chappy Hour. It's kind of like happy hour, but with me, Chloë Chapdelaine, where I catch up with a friend over drinks. It doesn't need to be 5 o'clock to join, so grab your favorite drink, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Cheers. Okay, guys, we're starting off strong with the I'll Take a Double section where we talk about our life hacks for the week. And we both have a life hack here. This is one that I actually applied yesterday because, I was telling Ananya right before this, but 2 days ago, I carpet cleaned my carpet and I washed my bed sheets and all my pillowcases and just did like a full bedroom reset, making it super duper clean, which I like to do periodically. So I did that. And then yesterday I got this walking pad and like one of those standing desks that I've been using. And the standing desk was just like the wrong height when I was using it. And so I like went to adjust it, but I had my coffee on the desk. So dumb of me. And so while I was adjusting it, the coffee went flying. It literally went flying. It spilled all over my carpet, all over my pillowcases, bed sheets, everything. And I had to completely 100% redo my carpet cleaning and bed sheets. Like, I couldn't even just like spot clean. Like, it sprayed over my whole bedroom.
I believe that.
Yeah, so anyways, that has nothing to do with the life hack. The life hack has to do with making your bed. And I think one of our very first life hacks we had was the duvet burrito.
Yes.
And I used that yesterday, but that's not the one that I'm talking about this time. The one for this time is if you struggle to put the fitted sheet on your bed and, between the wall and the fitted sheet, you're like shoving your hand down the crack, like trying to get it in there tight. Have you done this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if you use a spatula, you can just kind of hook the fitted sheet onto the spatula and the spatula will push it all the way down and it fits nice and easy into that crack. And it's such a life hack.
Oh my God. Okay. I didn't know that at all.
So you're going to have to try it out.
Yeah, I will. Because I hate fitted sheets.
Yeah. They're a challenge.
Agreed.
Okay. What's your life hack?
Okay. So recently I've been kind of loosely applying to jobs. And if you've ever applied to jobs, you know that doing resumes are tough because you just kind of never know like what like people are looking for, right? So I did a base resume for myself and I kind of noticed that I wasn't really getting like all the hits that I wanted from the jobs I wanted. So I learned this hack actually from TikTok where you can take the job descriptions from the postings that you see and apply it into ChatGPT and then tell it essentially that, hey, this is the job description. Can you take my current resume, improve it so it matches like the requirements for the job? And this is good because a lot of the times what people don't know is that it's not recruiters are checking your resumes individually. It's a software program. So that way ChatGPT knows like exactly the kind of verbiage like the program would be looking for. Yeah, so you're essentially getting a program to do a program's job.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
I haven't applied for a job properly with a resume in years, so I haven't had to think about this. But for everybody who is applying for jobs, this is such a good hack. Actually, Socality, which is the company that I work for, they just listed a job today. So if anybody else is looking for a job and you're listening to this podcast right now, if you are an events coordinator and you have 3 years of experience and you want to work with some pretty awesome camera brands and travel Canada, you should apply to be an events coordinator with Socality. I work for them. They're great to work for. The pay, I think it's between $52,000 to $60,000 per year.
Yeah.
And it's a great job. It's an awesome job. And I would love to work with you. So just wanted to put that out there.
And you can use ChatGPT to help you with the wording of your resume when you do apply.
Yeah, there we go. And there's a link in the Socality Instagram's story highlights if you want to go and read that job description and maybe plop it into ChatGPT.
See, there you go.
But then I think the challenge is, if you were to use that hack, what if you like got to the interview and then you just flunked it because you didn't really know?
See, that's why I think the real hack is you create your resume based on like your skills that you have. And then you take the job description and you just try to like see where your skills apply and just to make it better.
So it's not making up things to fit. Okay.
And trust me, when you get to the interview, if you can't talk about it, you're immediately going to be like, okay, yeah, they're out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, as an interviewer, you would definitely notice something like that.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, but we're going to move into the daily special section of the podcast, which is what is trending, what we're seeing, how we feel about it. And I say this every time, but there's so much going on. There's so much. But one thing that I want to talk about is phones. So everybody has a phone pretty much these days. Like everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have a cell phone addiction, myself included.
Same.
Without even fully realizing it. And recently one thing that I've seen a rise in is people they're sometimes calling them dumb phones instead of smartphones.
Yeah.
Or just flip phones, like the OG cell phone that people used to own, where it was just a flip phone and it didn't have a keypad, it didn't have internet access, it didn't have social media and apps and all of this connectivity other than just simple text messages. And they are choosing to do this to try to be more present in the moment, to try to be aware of their habits and how much they're consuming online and how much they're living in kind of this online space versus in real life.
Yeah.
And to kind of just take a step back.
Yeah.
And I kind of love it.
I do too. It's funny because I grew up in the flip phone era. Like I used to have the Razor.
Oh,
yeah. Like getting an iPhone was like super expensive at the time, so like flip phones were all the rage. And yeah, like you only had like the camera, which would take like the most pixelated photo you could ever think of.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could only just text message, and even the text message, you couldn't do like the long text. You had to do like short ones because it just wouldn't allow you to, like the way you can type right now, you could not do that on the little flip phone.
Yeah, because you only had the number pad and you had to hit like
specific
3 for C or 1 3 times for C or whatever. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So it was like crazy, like how people text now, like it's way faster than like I remember what I used to be able to do even on the flip phone. So it was like so basic, but like I do appreciate that because like, yeah, you weren't constantly on your phone. And the one thing I found that's different is I used to call my friends more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because texts were short, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't get everything across like on a text message.
And now we've got like emojis and everything. You could write a whole novel in your text message within seconds.
Like even like, you know, when you're mad at your boyfriend, like you can write like paragraphs, and like back in the day you couldn't do that. You're just like, call me. And then you just pick up the phone and you just like say everything. But you did that with like your friends, your parents, like whatever. And like now it's so different. I feel like calling is outdated almost. But like, you know me, I like calls over text messages.
I prefer to call as well.
Yeah.
If you call me, I'm way more likely to respond to you than if you were to text me. But I think it's a really interesting trend seeing everybody move towards this. I think right now, so I've been watching lots of vlogs of people who are vlogging themselves with a video camera. They're not vlogging it on their phone.
Yeah.
They're vlogging like a week in only having what they're calling is a dumb phone.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because some of the observations that people are making was, first of all, they realized how much more spare time they have.
Yeah.
Like they have more time to cook, more time to sew, more time to craft, more time to go for walks. Like they didn't realize how much time you were spending just
doom scrolling,
mindlessly scrolling on your phone and not realizing that that's what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing on that is lots of people are observing, well, first of all, they're saying it's kind of a curve when you're getting off your phone. It's kind of like if you were trying to beat an addiction. Like at first, they're like, I had so much anxiety. I had FOMO. I didn't know what was going on in the world. I just was like feeling panicked, like I'm missing something. And like I constantly was searching for,
it's like a gambling addiction. Like you need it. You need the hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then they're saying, sometimes like a few days in, some people were a week in, some people a couple weeks in, they realized that they stopped seeking that dopamine hit that you would get from notifications on your phone because they knew they likely weren't going to be getting any messages on it.
No.
And instead were finding those dopamine sources through real life activities, whether it was like taking time to bake something intricate, whereas previously they would have just done a microwave meal, or maybe it was, going for a walk and like noticing things that maybe they would have just been like on their phone and not noticed before.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really interesting to see how it was affecting people's anxiety. And I think that's a reason lots of people are switching to these phones.
Yeah.
But also an observation that lots of people have pointed out was how online everybody else is. Like as soon as they took the phone out of their own hands, they noticed like on public transit, in waiting rooms for doctors' offices, everybody is on their phone.
Yeah.
And it is like a pandemic. They're saying like, I didn't realize how normal it was for everybody to be in their own little world. Because one girl, she was saying, I was waiting for a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
And she's like, I was waiting for like almost 2 hours, which is pretty normal. But like, she's like, because I didn't have a phone to be checking or scrolling or anything, she's like, I just wanted to make conversation with people and talk to people. But nobody even as much as looked up.
Yeah.
Because everybody had a cell phone in their hands and they were glued to that. And so it's, even though people are feeling connected, she's like, is it that we're feeling connected, or are we actually like neglecting real life connections in the process?
I feel like I agree with that because, like I said, I grew up in the era of flip phones. Like I'll give an example of dating. I feel like back in the day, like you could go out to like a bar or like, a restaurant, and like if you saw someone, because you weren't constantly on your phone, like people were more likely to approach you and like have a conversation with you. Now, no one looks up. Like they would rather just like wait for the person or just like check on their phone, be like reading a book, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So like there is less human to human interaction. I feel like people can use the phone as like a distraction to like, honestly, from like making any human interactions.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that.
It's really interesting. So I'm curious to see if there will be new phone manufacturers who are coming out with phones designed for this. Like if there's going to be a wave of phones that are designed not to have internet access outside of like mandatory necessary communication, stuff that's like for emergencies only, or whatever type of limitations you choose to set on it. Like I'm just curious to see the direction of this and if this is something that's going to pick up or if it's just something that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, because like it can either go like the other way too, right? Like how like we have like the Ray-Ban like sunglasses. Like I'm wondering whether like phones will even exist.
That's a good question, actually, because it's like integrating into wearable technologies and into day-to-day stuff. Like I stayed at a hotel the other day and in the mirror of the hotel, they had like built-in electronics where I could like see the time. I've seen mirrors that have like, you can scroll the news feed while looking in the mirror at the same time. Like there's all these different things. And even with stuff like Amazon, Alexa?
Yes.
Where you can just like speak out loud and be like, Alexa, what's blah, 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 blah. And it'll just answer you straight up. Yeah. It actually does make me wonder, like,
there's two folds, right? Like it's either we go backwards and we like remove like the social aspect from the phone and go like just use it for phone. Or I'm like, I wonder if we'll even have phones in like the near future and if it's just going to be so integrated that like, like you're just scrolling from like your, I don't know, glasses and you can like read the news and like you can call someone from like your like glasses or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really hard to say, but like I can see it going like either way.
I can see it going both directions too, because actually on that topic, I've seen a huge rise in social clubs. Just again, fostering that face-to-face connection. And like in-person connection where you're not, doing it through a screen. And like that's through running clubs, craft clubs. Like I've seen so many face-to-face clubs just suddenly starting up again. And this is like the huge thing, like going to even like group workout classes and stuff like that. Like I think people are craving connection in a way. So yeah,
I agree.
I'm really interested. But on the topic of, you know, just being like fully obsessed with your phone and like almost brain rot with your phone. If you don't know what brain rot is, by the way, it's an internet term on just like dumb, like you're just consuming anything that's on the internet, no matter how stupid it is.
Yes.
That's brain rot, basically. Just like
I'm
falling
guilty.
into the... Me too. So a brain rot topic that has been all over my For You page on TikTok recently.
Same.
Wax candy. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
I just don't understand what wax candy is. Wax candy, for anybody who doesn't have a visual in front of them, and if you want a visual, I'm going to link a TikTok on a wax candy trying in my Substack if you guys want to, or if you subscribe to my newsletter. I'm going to link it in the description of this video so you can actually go and see what it is. But wax candy is okay, I wouldn't even call it candy. It's like wax molds. So you're using like a beeswax.
Yeah.
And you're creating a mold and you're filling the mold with, some people use like jam or like jelly.
Yeah.
Or like some people even Jello. And it just, okay, first of all, the wax, you're not supposed to consume it.
No.
So what people are doing is you get your mold filled with jelly, you freeze it so it's like crunchy when you bite into it. And then you bite into it and you're just getting like a mouthful of fruit jelly.
Yeah.
And there's all different flavors like passion fruit, kiwi, strawberry, like all different flavors. But you're just eating jelly and then you chew up the wax so that it like melts and apparently it kind of forms a ball in your mouth and then you spit out the wax. So like I can kind of see from like a texture perspective like that like crunch into something soft. But at the same time, would you not just use like chocolate or something edible on the outside? Like to have to spit out the wax and not be able to consume it. And the people that are buying this are spending
hundreds,
crazy money. Yeah. Hundreds. Like every girl I see who's like trying it, she's like, I spent $176 on wax candy and today I'm going to try this. And it's like 3 pieces.
Yeah. And like they're elaborate designs, don't get me wrong. But I'm literally like, okay, you're spitting out like half the product.
Yeah. And I just don't get it because also, would you ever sit down, like to me, okay, if you like this, you do it. Like you enjoy it. It's for you. It's not for me. But I would just like never sit down and eat like a whole jar of strawberry jam.
Yeah. No,
and that's like essentially with the size of these molds, what you're doing. You're eating probably close to a whole jar of jam in one sitting.
Yeah.
Which just like, I just feel like it would feel sickening.
Yeah. So like, I also don't understand the trend if it's just doing it because they're trying it or if they actually enjoy it. Because like, do you remember crystallized candy? That was big.
Yeah.
Like, but that I understood because it's like they like flash freeze the candy or whatever. So like the outside is super cold. So when you like bite into it, it's like crunchy and the inside is soft. But you can eat the whole thing.
Yeah, and I see, and even even the crystal candies, they're a little bit smaller. Like, it's not like you're eating, like maybe it's like the size of the palm of your hand.
Yes.
But like some of the ones that I'm seeing people eat that are like these wax candies are probably the size of, I'm trying to think
like
of something.
Like a palm almost.
Like your whole hand, or even some of them are even bigger, like.
Some of them were like actually like at least 2 palm sizes. They just like bite into it to like break it into chunks.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what's been trending. I don't know if it's trending just because people are getting views and they're just like buying into it, or if it's trending because people are literally enjoying this. And if you do enjoy it, keep buying it, keep eating it.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. But I'm sitting this one out.
Same.
Okay. Another thing that's trending that I wanted to talk about, the death of the Millennial brand.
Oh, yeah.
We can go so far into this. You're a millennial.
Yes, unfortunately.
I'm like between Gen Z and millennial. I'm not actually, I don't even think I'm technically millennial.
No,
when I was growing up, I like identified with millennial.
Yeah.
Because I'm like an elder Gen Z.
Yes.
But I don't actually think technically I'm a millennial. But there's this huge movement, like this big shift that we're seeing online with branding and brands, with millennial brands just basically no longer having the same influence, impact, front stage that they used to.
Well, no, because like when we started branding, I feel like it was like, you know, like the clean lines, like the super curated, like everything had to be aligned like the same. Like, let's just say it's like the backpacks, like they all had to be like perfect looking. Like they couldn't be like anything out of place. And they were all like the super like muted colors. Like they all had a color scheme, if you remember.
Yeah.
Like it was so like almost like Stepford vibe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what a Stepford vibe is?
No.
Okay, so like where like back in the day, like think of it like trad vibe almost.
Okay.
Like they all look the same. So like that's what the millennial branding was like everything looked the same. Like it all had to fit in a consistent aesthetic. Like they would never do anything that fit outside of the consistent aesthetic because like that was going outside of the brand. And like the best brand I can think of that did this would be like Glossier.
Yeah, they're a perfect example of a brand that has done this. Like the perfect Instagram feed.
Yeah.
So clean, so quirky but thought out.
And like they had like a very specific color scheme. Like obviously branding has changed now, but if you were to go back like I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, like you would know it was like the pink and like the white, like it was a very specific color scheme. And I remember that with like the millennial branding where it's like you had to fit the theme, like you couldn't deviate.
Yeah. And so now what we're seeing is these brands that are picture perfect, you know, they are following the brand guidelines to a T, are no longer resonating with audiences the same as these Gen Z brands that are using iPhone photos. Their feeds are just photo dumps. Their TikToks are prioritizing personality over, you know, like this perfect, like sometimes imagine like what I would call like a Gen Z product video would be like, say you had like a tube of mascara and then on top of it, you're like pouring this beautiful liquid over top of it. And it's like this beautiful high quality looking video that's like super perfect, you know, like just like kind of editorial, kind of edgy, but like that's that. But versus I feel like a Gen Z brand is coming to TikTok and their ad is like, hey guys, I accidentally ordered too many of these things and I have to sell all of them, so if you want to go to the link in my bio, I've got them linked. And it's just like some girl talking with no makeup on and people are loving it. I think a perfect example of the Gen Z brand coming forward is do you know who Strawberry Milk Mob is?
Yes,
I love her. She's this Canadian girl. Her and her sisters have started a swimwear brand and they shoot everything with
it looks everything out of iPhone. They have basically documented their lives as founders in their business, and they're just like really honest and straightforward, and they're fun and they show personality. Nothing is curated, nothing is perfect. Like they'll still do styled shoots, but they're shooting it on an iPhone from, you know, like in their office. It's not like they're renting studio space and hiring a professional videographer or anything like that, and people love it. And I think it's this relatability. What I kind of think is like people got perfection fatigue. Like do you remember how many flat lays we used to see?
Yeah.
How many of those do you even see now?
Right. And I feel like so many people jumped on the bandwagon when it first started because it worked, you know, for marketing. It was new, it was edgy, it was clean, it looked so professional. But today, people are like, anybody can do that. Anybody can hire a marketing agency and get these beautiful images.
You could even get AI to do that.
That's the thing. You can even get AI to do it these days. But now there's this rise in people wanting to support people. And so when there's this personality that you're showing in your brand and there's this relatability where things might not be perfect, but you feel like you're following along with somebody's journey. I think that that is what's making people connect on this level. And it's really causing all of these Gen Z brands that are so uncurated and they're just like so unserious.
Well, okay, I'll give another example of what's like the unserious brand. Have you ever heard of like Ryanair?
Yeah.
Like they're so funny. Like they
Hilarious.
used to do like obviously, you know, like the curated destinations. Yeah. But that's one of the brands, like if you notice, like they've adjusted to the shift. So I feel like if you can't really adjust to the current shift, like you die as a brand.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see this shift. But on the topic of consumption and buying from brands and looking at brands, a huge topic I've been seeing everywhere since December probably has been underconsumption.
Yes.
This is a huge one. I have heard so many people talking about their low buy or no buy year and underconsuming. And I think it started even last year, maybe even a year and a half ago, people talking about building these capsule wardrobes.
Yes.
Where the point was to only own a select number of items that were so versatile that you could mix and match them to create any, like an exponential number of perfect, beautiful outfits without needing to go out and buy all these different staple pieces or anything like that. And it's shifted. So then there's Project Pan, which is basically the concept that if you have a product, you use the entire thing up before you buy another one. Yeah. Which makes sense. Like it's it feels like common sense.
Yeah.
But online, you know, going back into the brain rot topic that we were talking about previously, people are consuming way too much.
Yeah.
In general. Like, not everybody is, but like in general, people are consuming too much. Like, there are people who are showing off like their collections of hand sanitizers, and they'll have like 70 different flavors of hand sanitizer, or they're showing off their body washes and they're like, I have 14 body washes. It's like, that's more than one per day of the week. If you're showering every single day for 2 weeks, like, you're not even repeating the same body wash. Like, it's crazy. And it's not just that, it's with everything. It's with clothing, it's with makeup products, toiletries, cosmetics, everything. Like, there's just so much overconsumption happening and being normalized online, that all of a sudden people are realizing this is a problem. Not only personally, people are starting to recognize destructive shopping habits where it's financially impacting them, or even they're realizing it's a shopping addiction, but it's also impacting a lot more than just their own personal finances. It's affecting environmental issues. You know, there's ethical issues with where things are being made for like mass production to get it out so fast. And it's just, it's really interesting. What are your thoughts on this whole trend?
So I think it's funny because you said that this kind of started happening like about a year and a half ago, right? So like, I'm going to give it from like a finance perspective. That's actually kind of when like the start of the recession happened. So I feel like underconsumption core really relates to like recession core. Because if you think about it, when we were purchasing so much, like, you know, when there was like the Shein hauls, like people would have like 50 like, you know, like blush palettes. Like, who needs 50 blush palettes? That was when we were at like the height of like inflation, right? And so obviously in finance, like everything goes in cycles. So I just think it's so funny how like at the peak everyone was just buying, and like now, because of, you know, the economy and things like that, and you're just kind of realizing like, why are we buying so much? I just think it's funny how like it's now also shift to being like, you know, like, let's just keep like the staple wardrobes, and like instead of doing like the big Shein hauls, like, you know, it's like, yeah, like let's hit all of our makeup to pan before like buying like 50 other palettes. Like, is that really necessary? So I just think it's funny that like the whole underconsumption shift, I think, is also related to like, quote unquote, like the recession that like we're also seeing currently.
Ananya is an accountant, so she knows what she's talking about when it comes to this stuff. It's really interesting to see the shift. And have you heard of Bradley on a Budget?
Yes, I have.
Oh my gosh. I think he's a great example of somebody who has taken it to an extreme.
Oh yeah, he's a bit too extreme for my take.
I don't think I could do everything that they're doing, but lots of people are starting to do a Bradley on the Budget challenge. Where they're trying to live like Bradley on a budget. So Bradley, he is this TikToker who he is just trying to save as much money and spend as little as he can. Through so many different various streams that he's doing this, and he's really entertaining. He's got like a whole bunch of different income streams right now, like through social media, but also he is a massive saver, and he will do anything to save money. Like, for example, he unplugs his fridge during certain times of the day so that it's not consuming too much energy, because I think he showed his last power bill was like $50, and he like always makes sure everything is unplugged. I think he might even switch off his breakers at times. I could be making that up. But like, he goes to extremes to make sure he's like saving as much money as possible in as many different avenues. But it just ties into this whole underconsumption. Like, I feel like he's been a really big influence in that stream. But at the same time, with people recognizing this huge underconsumption shift and change that people are moving towards, I think lots of people are starting to recognize their own shopping habits and how lots of them are tending to lean towards like an addictive habit. So there's one girl who was talking about how she was noticing that underconsumption was a big thing, and the shopping habits, how sometimes they're unhealthy. And she had a reason that she thinks lots of people are spending too much as well. And she said lots of people these days have really high stress jobs, and when you have a really high stress job, you seek out dopamine. You're searching for something that's an escape. And for a lot of people, they want something positive to look forward to. And shopping hits a lot of those points for them to make them feel better, because you have something to look forward to when your package is coming in the mail. When you buy the product, you've got that dopamine hit of, oh, I'm doing something good for myself. And lots of people justify it. Like, I'm treating myself. I deserve this. I have a hard job. I'm making money. But it gets to the point where you're constantly searching for the next thing to buy. You're always looking for like, what's the next best thing? And sometimes you don't even realize, but it's like you don't even care about what you're buying. You're just buying something
For the sake of it.
Yeah, just for the sake of it, which is interesting. And I feel like I can relate to that because myself, I'm doing a low buy year. I'm not doing I'm not doing a no buy year. I think that would be a little bit too difficult.
That would be really hard.
And actually I caved this week because it's so cold. I've been freezing in my house and I've been layering up and I have just been so cold. And so I bought some heat tech clothing from Uniqlo.
Yeah.
Which like isn't even stuff that you wear to show off. I literally bought undergarments. Like I bought like long john leggings to wear under my sweatpants and like this like shirt to wear under my hoodies just to stay warm.
So it's an essential.
So to me that's an essential.
Yeah.
I can justify that because I thought really long and hard about purchasing it before and like looked and like researched my options. I didn't just like impulse buy. Like I had been wanting those things for a while and it got to the point where I was so cold during the day. I was like, I would be a better person if I were warm. I'm justifying right now, which I don't need to be doing. But anyways, this whole low buy year, it's also made me realize though the privilege that some people need to have in order to do a low buy year.
Yeah.
Because for lots of people, they might be doing a low buy year by necessity, but also it's tricky because a lot of the things you want to buy in order for you to do a low buy year, like I'm depending on the things that I own lasting me throughout the year so that I don't need to repurchase new things, which means I need to have bought a quality item to begin with.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, those items aren't cheap.
No.
Or they're not easily accessible. And so, like, for example, lots of people think low buy automatically means inexpensive, but that's not the case.
No.
Like lots of the items that I have purchased to last me a really long amount of time so that I'm not needing to constantly repurchase are expensive.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, like, for example, here's a direct example. Last year I bought Skims t-shirts.
Okay.
The cotton jersey long sleeve shirts. I had been eyeing them up for literal years and I exhausted every alternative dupe that I could find before finally splurging on the Skims shirts. They cost more than I think they should. Like more than I want to admit.
Yeah.
But the quality of them, I have washed them so many times. I wear them more than any other shirt that I own and they hold up. They have not stretched out. They have not pilled. They have not created any issues versus the shirts that I was buying before, trying to be a dupe for the long sleeve Skims cotton shirts.
Yeah.
I bought like 4 different types. The first one shrunk. The second one, which might have been my fault, but the second one pilled. The third one just like didn't fit right. Like after wearing it a couple times, it lost its shape.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was buying these cheaper alternatives, hoping for it to be an inexpensive option.
Yeah.
But I would have saved money by buying the more expensive option at the beginning, which is kind of a confronting realization that sometimes you need to spend more money up front in order for it to save you money long term.
I agree.
And a lot of people aren't in the position to be able to do that. And so that's why I'm saying like being in a low buy year isn't for everybody because of your, you know, economic status or however you're doing.
And I would like to add a point. I feel like with the low buy or no buy year, I feel like it does also give you a little bit of sense of financial literacy. Like it also kind of helps you budget, right?
Yes.
Like now you're really looking at like, okay, like do I really need it? Like you were talking about like, you know, your like heat tech stuff. Like you're like, that's an essential. So you can justify that, right? So it's like you're really looking at like your budget and being like, oh, like is this an essential or is this something I can forgo? So that's also a good thing for you because like, I don't know, like I feel like me personally, I've spent my money frivolously quite a lot. So I think that's also positive in that sense.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But I think it's time that we move into the On the Rocks section because we've been on this one for quite a while. And oh boy, we've got some crazy topics to talk about. This is the drama. This is the drama on the internet. The tea is hot. We need to talk about the lady in Pakistan.
Oh, yeah.
There is a woman in Pakistan right now. She's 33 years old from New York City, and she had fallen in love with a man on the internet. This man was a 19-year-old man from Pakistan.
Yep.
They got married online, I believe, through an online marriage platform. She, I believe, had been catfishing him. So she goes to Pakistan to meet her husband. She shows up at his door, and they are like, whoa, who are you? What is going on? And basically, she's been camping out in Pakistan like in their neighborhood.
She's just living there.
And she's just living there. And there are lots of people who are saying she should go home, but she has become a media sensation. And it is so entertaining to watch her.
Oh, yeah, because like she refuses to leave.
She's refusing to leave, and she has a list of demands for the government.
Yes.
And they are just so entertaining. But she herself, she's an icon. She is going to be in the memes, I'm sure, that we're going to be seeing in 10 years from now when we look back on 2025. Okay, so basically, she has created a list of demands for the government in order for her to want to better Pakistan. She has said that she wants to make Pakistan a better place the right way. So she has demanded money from them because she wants to fix up the neighborhood.
Yep.
She wants it put into her own personal bank account. I don't believe she has a plan on how she's going to do this. But she is just so hilarious. She, to the camera, will just, like, if they ask a question that she's not comfortable with, she'll just be like, mind your business. Mind your business.
Like, it's against my religion.
Or she said, yeah, she said she wouldn't answer questions because it's against her religion, which I actually don't know if she identifies with that religion. And she just has it every time that they're asking her questions. So she has held press conferences since being in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what her goal is with these.
Yeah.
And I do believe she probably is facing some mental health issues, which is likely contributing to this whole thing. But she is such an icon. So they started interviewing her in some of these media interviews where she starts off by saying that she's demanding $5,000, then $20,000. And every time they talk to her, the number is going up or changing. And she doesn't have any plan that she's sharing on how she plans to better Pakistan. I think she just wants better hotels and better streets, and she wants to bring in food is what she says. But then she starts interviewing the media when they ask her questions that she doesn't like, turns the mic on them, and they are treating her so well. They are actually meeting lots of these demands. Like, they got her McDonald's. They're making sure that, like, her eyebrows are getting done. Like, if she has demand, they are treating her so well. And I saw this one man who is from Pakistan who's just offering his own commentary on it. And he says that they are just so entertained by her. Like, they're just like fully falling into it. But anyways, if you haven't seen this woman, you need to go and check her out, like her videos. What do you think of this?
I think it's funny because, like, I swear to God, like, I saw a post where, like, the government literally said that they would, like, pay money, but for her to, like, go back to America. And she's like, absolutely not.
She's refusing.
Yeah, she's like, absolutely not. Like, I'm staying in Pakistan. And they're like, we don't understand. Like, you're not even from here.
No, and she's claiming she's from there now.
Yeah.
But it's just hilarious. And so I'm really curious to see where this is going to go over the next week. I think we might have to give an update in a bit to see if she does end up going home to New York. I know that her son, because she has a son, is trying to get her home, but she's refusing, I believe. And
I feel like she's just turning into, like, a media sensation. So I know, like, people are, like, kind of capitalizing on it because, like, again, she's kind of gone viral on, like, every platform that I can think of right now. So, like, I think we saw, like, a tea shop that was like, hey, like, this lady loves the tea, and she was literally promoting it, and it's like blowing up.
She's the star of the commercial.
Yeah, like,
Pakistan.
It's crazy.
And there's and apparently there are all these men now who are like, oh, like almost treating it like The Bachelor or like The Bachelorette.
Yeah,
because now they're like, oh, well, she like wants to be married, she wants to live in Pakistan. Like, I volunteer, but like the people that are volunteering are like not necessarily like the young, attractive ones.
The type she wants.
The ones that she's trying to attract. It's like some of the sketchier characters who are just getting
maybe someone more age appropriate.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a pretty crazy situation. But on the topic of people catfishing, there's another situation that I wanted to mention. There's a woman who has been, have you heard of this one? She has been scammed out of $850,000 US dollars because she believed that she was dating Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and like, wasn't he like sick and in the hospital and she thought she was paying his like bills?
Yes. So the person who was catfishing as him had photoshopped these photos. Some people are saying it's AI, but if you look, it's like botched Photoshop. Yeah. Like, as a photographer, I'm like, how don't you know that that's Photoshop? Like, and so basically it showed Brad Pitt in the hospital and he's like, oh, like Angelina Jolie blocked my bank accounts. You need to send me money to cover my hospital bills. And she did, because she was married to a millionaire, I believe. Was it a millionaire or billionaire?
I think it's a millionaire.
Millionaire?
Yeah.
She was married to a millionaire, but she was cheating on her millionaire husband with this
Brad Pitt.
And she left her millionaire husband to be with Brad Pitt until she realized, unfortunately, that she had been catfished, which is such an unfortunate situation all around.
Yeah, but like, okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. The Brad Pitt photos that we saw, did it not look like essentially like cut out photos with the glamour filter on?
It did. It did. You have to see them. I'll link them in my Substack again, you guys, so that you can see it in my email newsletter. I feel so bad for her husband. I feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do. But like at the same time, let's use our internet safety common sense. Like, let's think about
like this is like, it makes me think of like, has she never heard of like the Nigerian prince scam?
It's exactly that.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is worse.
It's worse. And I feel bad for Brad Pitt, who is just caught in the middle. I wonder what he thinks of this whole situation.
I wonder if he thinks like this cannot be real. Like there's no way that she thought this was real.
Yeah. So I wonder if she's going to get her money back. Probably not. Honestly,
I don't
it's
think
such a high
so.
amount.
Yeah.
I want to know who's running the scam. I want to have a conversation with him and be like, how did you find,
well,
like,
that was the thing. Like, did she actually have like full on conversations with him?
She claimed it, I believe it was just like through text messages. And then I think she even said there was voice memos and he had an accent.
So that's even crazier.
So yeah, that's so unfortunate for this woman. Like, honestly, I really feel for her. But at the same time, like, I want to have a chat with the scammer. And I want to know his process on, like, was she, obviously, she would have been targeted.
Yes.
But, like, how did they...
No.
How did they...
Yeah.
Like, how many people did he have to reach out to before finding somebody who successfully started sending him money? And I just, like, I would love to get into the mind of a scammer and just have a conversation with, like, how does this work in your head?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Anna Delvey, you know? Like, she scams so much. But this is, like, to be honest, I feel like this is a very low-level scam. Like, this is like, you know, if someone was like, I'm Brad Pitt and I need money, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. Like,
especially without ever seeing him in person or FaceTiming or anything like that. Because I feel like even these days you have the ability to do deep fakes. Like if they really needed, they could have done a deep fake video, but I don't think they had to go that far.
No, like we saw the photos.
Yeah, we saw the photos. So yeah, just use your internet safety common sense out there. Also, actually, I want to bring up a scam while we're talking about internet safety and scams. There's a scam that's going around right now where people are receiving a package in the mail and it's a package that you didn't order, but it'll have your name on it.
Okay.
And when you open it, it'll be something rinky dinky, nothing. It'll be like a ring or just like something that isn't of a high value.
Okay.
But there'll be a QR code that'll be like, scan this QR code to register your whatever or to find out who it's from.
Okay.
And if you scan this QR code, it is accessing the information on your phone and they're able to somehow steal your banking information, passwords, personal information. So if you get anything in the mail that has your name that you didn't order, you can keep it. Just do not scan any QR codes or go to any websites that it's claiming to go to.
Yeah, no, whenever people tell you to scan anything, I'm like, I'm really apprehensive, especially if it's not like something legit. And like, I get it, like you never know, but like if you're getting it in the mail, I would not go on scanning it on your...
No, I feel like it's safest just to avoid the QR codes these days.
Yeah.
But moving on to our shaken not stirred section.
Okay.
We are going to talk about things that have shook us recently. This is stuff that we're just like, wow.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll start. So I've lived in Canada for almost over 2 decades. And I just recently found out that I'm allergic to the cold temperatures.
Allergic?
Yeah. So like I physically will break out in hives.
Like all over your body or just in areas that are exposed?
So like just in areas that are exposed. So far I've seen myself get like red, blotchy, like raised like spots on my face and my hands. Like if it's like anything over like -15. I'm not even kidding. It's called cold urtica. And I didn't think I would ever be allergic because I've lived here for so long. So I felt like I acclimatized obviously to Canada.
Yeah.
So this is all of a sudden, and I've been told it could be due to like an increase in histamines in my body that's causing it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I feel like my brain is allergic to the cold. Like when I get in the cold,
Same.
I get angry.
Yeah,
I
like
can't control it.
No, I know, same. Because I
But
feel like certain like functions stop or something like that.
yeah,
Does
I
that
just
make
want to like
sense?
scream and cry and die. Honestly, the cold is just not for me. But that's a perfect excuse for you to be booking vacations.
I know, that's what I told my family. I'm like, this just means I'm supposed to be in a moderate temperature country.
Yeah. Where are you going next?
We should go somewhere warm because it's a little too cold right now. Even like I swear to God, like a couple of days ago, like I could just see like the red splotches starting to happen when I was taking my dog for a walk. I was like,
No.
okay, I need to not.
That's so sad.
I know.
Miles acts like he's allergic to the cold as well. I take him out. I even put boots on him. I'll like dress him up. He's wearing a hoodie right now. He'll have his hoodie, his boots, sometimes I'll even put like a little earmuff thing on him to protect his ears. We will walk literally not even halfway down my street.
Yeah.
He starts like lifting up a paw, even though he's wearing his boots, like he's like acting like, take me inside. So I have to take him inside, and he just like, he refuses to poop in the cold. It's a challenge.
Same. My dog is the same. We'll just like dress her up in like a literal like snowsuit, and she will literally go out for like 5 minutes. She's like, I can't do this.
That's so cute though.
Yeah. So now I'm like, you know what? I can't do this either physically because my face is breaking out in hives.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh man, my shaken not stirred. Okay, if you have celiac disease, so I have celiac disease, meaning I cannot eat gluten. I have over the last 10 years become really well tuned into like what I can and can't eat.
Yeah.
I feel like I have it like fully memorized, but I learned something new this week that
Okay.
I hadn't realized before. Apparently, certain mushrooms can contain gluten for people who are extremely hypersensitive. So
Okay.
I am hypersensitive. Actually, when I first found out I had celiac disease, I wasn't hypersensitive. I was eating gluten every day, and I didn't realize the issues that I had. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, that's probably why I was having seizures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now if I even have something that's like shared a fryer or use the same utensil, I will react.
Yeah.
And I will for sure know that I have been exposed. So one girl came on and she said, just so you know, if you have hypersensitivity to gluten, you can be gluten from mushrooms because certain mushrooms are grown in wheat or rye. And that's like the grain or like environment that they're growing the mushrooms from. And if the mushrooms aren't cleaned properly, or if they're just like not packaged like in a really clean way, it can still contain some of those grains in the packaging that you may not be aware of when you're cooking up your food. And that way, unfortunately, you can get gluten from your mushrooms. And it makes me actually wonder, like I have had mushrooms before where I have had stomach issues after, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought like maybe it was just like too high in like insoluble fiber or something. I wasn't sure. But now it makes me wonder, were they grown in like a grain like wheat or rye or barley or something?
Oh, you know what? That would make sense because I've seen you have like mushroom soup and then get glutened afterwards. Yeah.
So anyways, just be aware. Hopefully you can stay safe and avoid the gluten, but that's another thing to add to your list, unfortunately. But as a final topic, we're going to switch to something a bit more positive, which is what we're obsessed with. And this is the bottoms up section of the podcast where we talk about what we're absolutely loving right now. And I'm going to let you go first with this one.
Okay. So currently what I'm obsessed with is a show called Married at First Sight. I believe it's an Australian show, and it just kind of came on my TikTok feed, so I just kind of started watching like little clips of it. So basically the concept is like these like experts and like relationship psychologist experts like match you up with people. So these people are all single, can't find anybody, dating apps don't work. They've tried all avenues, and they essentially sign up for the show, and these experts like you know, do like personality exams, like go through all these criterias, their like values and things like that, and match these people up. So the first time they meet is literally at the wedding altar. Like they get married on their first meet.
What?
And then they have to spend like 10 weeks or so like together to figure out whether they're going to stay married or get divorced, essentially.
Is this like a legal marriage?
So like I guess it's not really like a legal marriage. Like you'd get annulled, which makes sense because an annulment is like you only have to stay married for I think like under like 3 or 4 months.
Is that the law? I've actually never looked into what the requirements are for an annulment.
Yeah, I think an annulment is like a dissolvement of a marriage, like if it didn't work out in like a really short time.
Right.
Again, I'm not 100%, but I think that's what the whole premise is
Okay.
that like you're only together for like 10 weeks, which is pretty short.
Yeah.
So you're essentially determining, yep, I'm going to stay married to you and we're going to go. Or you're going to say like, yep, this is over. Like we're divorcing. Like this is the end.
Wow.
And apparently like the show has actually had like a few people who've like remained married.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a crazy concept to me.
I know.
Would you do it?
I've honestly thought about it because I was like, well, like dating apps suck. Because like there's a girl that I kind of relate with. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, like dating apps suck. And she's like, you're essentially telling all these experts, like, these are all the criterias I want. You don't necessarily get like the exact person you want, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be like open-minded. But I
As
think,
you do in every relationship, though, like everybody's gonna have their flaws and stuff.
yeah, but I just think it's fascinating because it's like you're just kind of trying it, right? And you're like, hey, if it doesn't work out, it's like 10 weeks. And I think like, okay, you do that on dating apps all the time. How many situationships do you have that are like 3 months long?
True.
So I'm like, at least might as well get experts to help you in this case.
How are we gonna get you on the show?
I honestly thought about it. I'm like, should I just move to Australia?
Yeah,
to do it.
You should. I could see you being on one of those love TV shows and finding the man of your dreams.
I could do that, except for like The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I feel like I just don't want to fight for a man. That's just like too much.
I've thought about that too. Because there was like once a point in my life where I was like, I could go on The Bachelor. No, I don't want to have to compete against other women, like fighting for time and attention. Like if a guy is into me, I want to be the only one, and I do not want to have to prove myself over somebody else and have them like make this big decision. Like I want the answer to be obvious. Like,
yes,
I know there was that one season with Claire and was that her name?
Oh,
what are their names?
Peter? No.
I don't think maybe. Anyways, there was like that one couple on The Bachelor where she ended up canceling it early because she found her man, and people were so annoyed because they're like, this isn't what it's about. Honestly, I am so happy for her that she found her guy and knew right away. To me, that is a indicator of a healthier relationship than like being at the point where it's like, I have to propose to one of two women and I really need to make my mind up. And like, okay, I got to remember the right name as I walk up to, do you know what I mean?
I know. It's like, okay, this is my, I hate this, but like, you know, women already feel like, you know, competitive and like when you're dating people like naturally, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you have to see like the guy you're dating like make out with like 6 other girls.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would not be good with that at all. I would not be good with that.
Because like currently like The Bachelor is airing, and this is not to plug it or anything, but I've seen clips where like you literally see The Bachelor making out with someone and like a group of 6 girls are literally staring at them, like, which I'm like, yeah, it's so awkward. Like I can't even imagine being in that.
Or imagine yourself as the girl who made out with them, knowing that there's like this whole group of girls
staring at you,
staring at you from the distance, like envying you, like as you're trying to have this intimate moment. Like it would be in the back of your mind.
Yeah, like it would be weird.
Yeah, that's crazy. Not for me.
So like, at least this one, I think it's crazy because I'm like, they're matching you with someone. So I see it as, hey, if it doesn't work out, whatever, it'd be like a 3-month relationship anyways.
True. And it's like one-on-one. So I feel like you're giving that person your undivided attention and efforts. And I do actually think that that would be better.
Yeah.
In building a true, real, solid relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. I can see why you're obsessed with it. I need to watch this now.
Yes, you do.
Do you know what streaming platforms it's on?
I only watch it through TikTok.
TikTok clips.
Stupid, only on Australia.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you find the full episodes, please send it to me because like I'm obsessed with it.
I will.
Yeah.
My obsession currently is my podcast room. I mentioned it at the beginning, but okay, you guys, it's really coming together. I have a couch. Which I thrifted from Facebook Marketplace for $200. Actually, not even for $200.
I think it's cheaper.
I got this plus a mini fridge for $200. So really, say they were each $100 each.
That's a steal of a deal.
Steal of a deal. And it's pink, and Miles loves it. He has claimed this couch as his own. And the space, it just like, it feels
more open too, actually.
Open, cuter. I've just like brought in a lot of elements that I love. So that's that.
Yeah.
It feels way better.
And like I said, there was a point where we used to use a shoebox to hold up all of our stuff.
Oh yeah. Or remember my first episodes when I had no idea what I was doing and we had Jake
He was literally hiding.
He was hiding in the corner because I was trying to record the podcast episodes at that time. And he was hiding in the corner. Sometimes his foot would come into frame. We'd be like, you know, like, and
he's
I'd be
like, where do I go? We're like, you got to keep going.
And he's like literally hunched over in the corner, monitoring our audios before I had any clue what I was doing. We've come a long ways.
Yeah. Like from the first day to now is night and day.
Yeah. This will be episode 20.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm so proud of us.
Me too. It's a good one. But for everybody listening, and if you have listened to all 20 episodes, tell me, because I think that's just like so cool. That means we've spent like 20 hours together pretty much.
Yeah.
And that makes me think that you and we are best friends.
Pretty
Honestly,
much.
If you're listening to this right now and you're still listening, you're my friend. You are. And I hope you know that. So to everybody, also, if you haven't rated this 5 stars, you could give it 5 stars. You could give it 5 stars if you felt like it on Spotify or Apple Music, or you could even follow my Substack where I give episode breakdowns. So if you don't have time to listen to a whole podcast episode like you did today, you can just read, and I will link all these sources and TikToks and yada yada so that you can just like quickly access it.
Yeah.
It's the best. So
that's smart.
I'll link that as well. But if you are listening, raise your glass, and until next time, cheers!